this morning. Right now we're at 8 minutes after 10 o'clock, with Lent coming to an end, Easter upon us, and many of us will be looking forward to that chocolate egg over the weekend. In recent years, the options have become increasingly opulent, increasingly luxurious, with some high street eggs setting you back in excess of £100. So what makes an ultimate egg? Is it worth forking out a little bit extra to get better quality? And if not, what are your DIY options at home as well? Here to help us answer the questions, the man with all the answers when it comes to chocolate, Master Chocolatier Ian Burnett at the Highland Chocolatier. Ian, good morning.
Morning, Stephen.
Thank you very much for coming in to see us. I'm even more pleased to see you this morning because Gilda, who's still sitting next to you this morning, failed in her mission to bring me some home baking. But I see that you have brought chocolate.
I'm going to pass these across to you so when the time is right.
Welcome. You are super. Oh, they look amazing. I'm going to take a picture of this and put it on social media. Ian, what's behind the rise in the demand for luxury eggs, more expensive eggs?
Do you know, I think there's two sides to it always. One is the bling, if you like. One is the presentation. People are getting really creative. And in my chocolate kitchen, that's one of the great things about this time of year is the creativity. You get to do things you don't get to do the rest of the year, and every year you do something a little bit different and so on. And I think that's what happens everywhere. So that's one thing people are buying. People are spending money on something that looks amazing, and yes, some of it's packaging, some of it's just creativity. Fantastic. But the other side, which is my bread and butter, is what's inside. You know, what are the ingredients? And people are becoming more discerning. People are, it's a bit like you can't give people instant coffee anymore. Same with the chocolate. They're interested in what are the ingredients. Why does this one taste different from that one? It's not compound chocolate we're talking about. It's the real thing. So if you're going to spend this kind of money, you need to be knowing what's on the inside as well.
All right, so flip this for us. Give us a sense of what goes into those bargain basement. I mean, I had a look around yesterday, knowing you were coming in, and I was seeing quite big eggs for £1 in some shops. And then I went into a kind of high-end chocolate shop, high street chocolate shop, which is one of those ones selling eggs for about £100. What's going to be the difference in the chocolate between those two?
It's really varied, but typically a compound chocolate is going to have things like butterfats. It might have various artificial flavorings such as vanillin and so on, give you that sort of burning sensation at the back of your throat. Need more sugar to cover it up. Whereas most chocolate, even if you go, what we'd call the high-end supermarket chocolates, a lot of them will still have butterfat, things added, which just make it the processing easier. And there'll certainly be a blend. So a bit like whiskey. People understand the difference between a single malt and blended whiskey. Same with wine and so on. It's no different for chocolate. A lot of these supposedly good chocolates, they won't state an origin because they're blending, and all you're missing out on there is flavor. I mean, yeah, the extra processing, it becomes slightly less healthy, but if you're getting a really great chocolate, they should be able to tell you where it's coming from, like which singular origin, plantation, country, and so on.
Where does your chocolate come from?
The key, I use a few different couvertures, but the key one that if there's time we'll get you to taste is one from the island of Sao Tome in the South Atlantic Ocean. It's quite a rare cocoa, but it's a really special. It has really sort of fruity notes to it, some spicy kind of earthy tones as well, a bit of pepper in there as well. But so depending what you do with it, you can bring out these different flavour notes and so on. So even
most people will notice that, Ian, because that sounds quite complex. I mean, idiots like me will still be able to tell the difference between that and a bar of fruit and nut.
Definitely, yes. My daughter, it's the same thing. Albert Root, same thing. People will taste the difference. I tell you, this is the good time of day. Before your breakfast is actually the best time. But
really?
Here we are. How many cups of coffee have you had today?
I've had one cup of coffee this morning. I did have some breakfast, but it's 6 o'clock this morning, so it's well clear. So you need a clear palate.
Your clear palate in the morning is best time. But what you'll notice, some people have trouble expressing it. They might say this is just a really amazing full flavour. I often say in the kitchen that if people taste chocolate and go, that's nice, it's a failure. Whereas if people are kind of lost for words going, what? Yeah, wow, what? That's, you don't necessarily have the words to express what you're tasting, those fruity notes, those spicy notes, and so on. But what you get is a long journey through the palate, which the chefs get very excited about. And that's what Sao Tome has. It doesn't just have, Madagascan cocoa might just taste like citrus, lemons. But a really good chocolate will actually give you more flavors. First, you'll get a sweet note, then you'll get some bitterness, some intensity. It might move on to kind of spicy notes, then an afternote as well. You don't have to be some kind of expert. You have to practice, though. You do have to try.
Practice has got to start somewhere, I suppose. So this looks beautiful. It's in a lovely kind of gold-lined box this morning, and this is like it's almost like a little. It's a tiny fork, tiny wooden fork.
It's a wee truffle fork, because this is a very special truffle. It has no shell at all. So this truffle you're going to taste has only really two ingredients. It's dairy and chocolate. There's nothing else. No glucose, sorbitol, nothing else added, and it has no shell. So that's why the little fork.
Right, it looks absolutely. Gilda, are you watching this? Oh, doesn't that look?
I've had one already.
Oh, have you now? Well, that's nice for some people. All right, hang on. Wow.
So it's a nice texture there. You've got this is a strong one. What you're tasting, this is actually awarded the best dark truffle in the world at the International Chocolate Awards. It's a lot of dark cocoa in there.
It's coating my mouth.
Yeah, but it's disappearing. It should, because it's just cocoa butter, no other fats or sugars added in there. It should disappear, and you'll get other flavors as it goes.
Yeah, I do. I don't like those super, 85% chocolate bars you get. It's too much of a hit of dark chocolate, but this isn't like that.
Well, do you know what you've just tasted is actually about 72% cocoa. So that's really high, but the cocoa itself is quite sweet. It's a bit like tomatoes, growing tomatoes at home. They taste more sweet, more delicious than something water in the supermarket or bitter that needs more sugar. In this case, you've got a sweet cocoa, so high cocoa solids, but tastes sweet.
And the beauty of that is, and I mean this in the best possible way, you couldn't eat too many of those. Because the thing is, people eat a big chocolate egg and they feel guilty, they feel a bit ill and all the rest of it. I probably only manage 10, 12 of those, I think, before I would... Not as many left after Gilda's been in with her truffle fork.
It's true, though. I mean, quite a few of your callers today have been talking about waste and so on. I mean, one of the things I do, I work with a lot of Michelin star chefs. You're creating something which is really special, really intense, really strong, and has got a lot of flavors. So you don't eat a lot of it. You eat just enough of it. You're not going to indulge, if you see what I mean.
Absolutely. So talk to us about the process of making the actual egg bit here, because what we've got here are what people would recognise as kind of chocolate truffles. Sure. But the actual hollow egg, how do you make that?
So there's a few different ways, but usually working in a mould. So in this case, it's because of these, I guess the chocolates I'm using, these truffles were inspired to create for us in the kitchen, an egg which is connected to the flavor notes in the egg. So, for example, I mentioned the Sautome has quite a few sort of dark, gingery, peppery notes. So we'll actually make an egg in a mold, but we'll actually lay in some special crystallized ginger is one of the eggs that we make. And that is... for want of a better description, it's a bit like salting fish. You take some fresh ginger and you scatter sugar on it, and it basically preserves the ginger with all that fire and that texture and so on of real ginger. So we lay that into the mold, and then we'll do a little bit of piping of dark chocolate to hold that in place, and then we'll fill the rest of the mold with chocolate. And then you have to stand there we don't have any fancy equipment, so you have to stand there literally and twist this mold around in a funny procedure.
It's labour intensive.
Yeah, absolutely. It is making them handmade like this. I'm sure there's companies out there that will mass produce them with little machines that go round and round. But this is the kind of the more interesting, and they're all different, put it that way. Some of them don't work, and so we have to eat those.
What are your views on white chocolate? I always think it's a bit snobbery sometimes with people. I think it's a bit of a child. I love white chocolate, but some people think it's a bit Milky Bar, I suppose, isn't it?
Again, really good white chocolate should be blonde. It should be sort of a yellow creamy colour. That's the freshness, if you like, in the milk solids and the cocoa butter as well. Something goes really, really white, it means actually the milk solids have gone a bit sour. But that creaminess, so again, there's a white chocolate I use that's very, very unusual. It's got a lot less sugar in it, a lot less sickly sweet, and it's a lot more cocoa butter, more the expensive component. But it does what you've just experienced in your mouth. It melts below body temperature, so it disappears. You don't have that waxy feeling. So that simply is cocoa butter and no cocoa mass. So those two parts of the cocoa bean, you don't have the red cocoa mass. You just have the cocoa butter, which is why it stays white.
You're the king of the hill and all this stuff, but we're good at making chocolate in Scotland, aren't we?
There's an enormous number of hand-making chocolatiers all over Scotland, growing. I mean, all over the UK, but certainly in Scotland. And there's the more the merrier. But there's a lot of creativity there. People are really like with these truffles winning best truffles in the world. I think Scotland is very well known for its salmon, its whiskey, its shortbread and things. But people, even down south, chefs I now work with, that originally were looking towards the continent, were looking down south, for their chocolatiers and so on. So, but now they're aware that we have the fruit basket of Europe up here. We're exporting in the Tay Valley, where we are exporting our canes down to Spain with the raspberries and so on. The dairy, and which is a critical part for me, that comes from a single herd of cows that are producing extraordinary cream, where most of Europe is blending their cream and so on. So we have, and the honey, the local apiaries we have. There's all these reasons that Scotland should be a step above if we just use those ingredients we've got.
Yum. Yeah. So, right, let's wrap this up now. Looking ahead to the Easter weekend, if people haven't bought their eggs yet, let's give them a guide to what should you be looking at? People say if you spend less than £6 in a bottle of wine, you're going to get rubbish. What do you need to pay to get a decent chocolate egg? Yeah.
Do you know you're going to spend? It depends how big it is, but if let's say it's larger than the size of your hand, if you're talking about something like that, if you're going below £10-15, you're going to struggle to get something which is a good quality ingredient. The only way you can do it is having a very thin egg, or you're not getting great ingredients. But I would say the number one thing is to look at the packet, look at what the ingredients are, and if they're telling you where it comes, which country that cocoa is coming from, that's your starting point. Beyond that, yeah, it's creative. You can have. I've seen some of the pictures of even what's being produced in some of the supermarkets. There are amazing, the creative eggs out there, which they just need to watch the ingredients. That's all I would say.
That's the secret.
And go any way you like. I think if you go beyond £100, the question is what you're paying for. I made a giant, half-meter lace egg, lattice-work egg. Okay, that takes two people a full day to make, and then we decorate it with butterflies, had a bottle of whisk on the inside, and so on. That kind of thing. Okay, it's going to be £1,000, but you should get what you pay for, but check the ingredients.
Good tip. Gilda, would you like another one of these?
Am I allowed?
No.
I didn't think so.
When it comes to Easter eggs, what's your taste? What do you think? Luxury eggs.
Oh yes, I don't like cheap. Really, they taste cheap. And I've forgotten your name. Ian, as Ian said, check the ingredients. It's like everything you buy. Check the ingredients.
So this is back to the conversation you and I were having about shop-bought cakes as well.
Yes, check the ingredients.
Check the ingredients.
If there are too many lines, too much stuff that you don't understand, if you can't pronounce the ingredients, don't buy it. Keep it simple.
Do you ever get sick of cake?
Yeah.
You do? You're supposed to say no there.
Well, there is one cake that I do not get sick of, and that is Christmas cake. There's two. Christmas cake, which I love, and by inference that means simnel cake as well, and fatless sponges.
Mm. So that's a lot of cakes then, isn't it?
Yeah, fatless sponges are just... Oh.
Okay. Ian, do you ever get sick of chocolate? By Easter Monday, have you...
Not the good stuff. Not the good stuff. That's why, we have to taste the chocolates every week. And sometimes, quite a few times. And it changes, with a single origin chocolate every 6 months. You got a fresh harvest with these cows that we're working with. They're a single origin cream, if you like. The weather changes in Scotland when we get 2 weeks of sunny weather. Actually, that all changes. We have to adjust the recipe. I created these chocolate tastings we're going to launch shortly because I want to share with people what it's like to compare and contrast these different notes and so on. So you don't get bored. I think if you're using a blended chocolate, yes, you definitely get bored. But I think when you have different chocolates you're working with, they're quite exciting, to be honest.
Best job in Scotland you've got, you know that?
So far, so good.
Ian Burnett, a Highland chocolatier. I'm going to pass these back to you. Can you take them next door for the crew this morning? Because it is Easter. Yeah. It is Easter, so we're going to be generous about that. Absolutely delicious. Ian, good to meet you. Thank you.